I do not own any of the League of Legends videos or audio in this video. All credit goes to Riot Games. Everything will be in the description as well. Enjoy the video.
Everything changes.
Hello and welcome to episode 2 of the TheDuffPodcast, and today we're going to be running through my picks for the group stage in League of Legends Worlds 2017. Now, this video is going to be a little focused towards people who play League of Legends, but people who don't, if you want to take a shot and listen to this and try and understand it, go right ahead. But if you honestly do not know the game, I would really recommend to click up there right now and watch that tutorial on League of Legends. But getting into the video, people who are experienced with League of Legends and understand the game, you can carry on with this video. And actually, guys, before we get into this, I just want to say a little more in detail about that. You can go watch that video, and that will definitely help you. But if you watch a few minutes of this video and you're still completely lost, I would definitely recommend doing a little bit of research on what League of Legends esports is and all of that. And then you can come back to this video. But like I said, this is mainly targeted toward League of Legends players. But again, if you guys want to swing for the fences, go right ahead. I'm not going to stop you. So in this video, we're going to be running through my thoughts and who I think will go far in the knockout stage and the group stage for the 2017 Worlds Pick'em. So right now we're just going to jump right into things, and we're going to start with Group A, and starting with that is SK Telecom T1. I'm going to start off by saying SK Telecom T1, really, their team is just insane. Their team has been insane lately. I mean, I know some would probably argue with me saying that SKT has just been underperforming, but I completely disagree. I think last year they were absolutely unstoppable, and maybe this year they've slowed down a little, but starting off with, depending on however tomorrow goes, depending on when this video comes out, right now they're 3-0 in their group. I don't know how they're going to do, but right now they're showing signs of not slowing down anytime soon.
Very big play here. Peanut maybe looking for the steal. Try steal. He's getting in. Somebody to get the Drake. Big stun there. Lands it onto Art again. He goes back to Peanut. He took the other Drake. Fish lands in, but amused, but oh my god, hurting so much damage onto Art, but he's maybe gonna live. Trying to steal. Oh my god, bro, he can't do a bang. Manages to find the snipe. A double kill for Bang. Chowing gonna die down as well. SKT get it all. As SKT just turn their base into dust. Once again, undefeated here in the group.
And so what their team has, their top laner Huni, their jungle Peanut, their mid laner everyone knows him, Faker, who is probably he is the best player in the world, undisputed, and their bot laner Bang and their support Wolf. So I think this veteran squad can definitely take it all the way. So that's why I put them at the top of my pick'em right here, because I think they're a given to get out of the group, and they're already 3-0, so I think they're almost guaranteed to make it out unless they completely throw their games. But yeah, so I put them at the top. And so moving on to the next team, Cloud9. This is the team. I love this team. This is my team. This is like my home team. And their top laner Impact, their jungle Contracts, their mid laner Jensen, their bot lane Sneaky, and their support Smoothie. And they have made many Worlds appearances, and last year they made it out of groups, and I think this year they can do it again. They're already 2-1 in their groups. Again, I don't know when this is going out, but right now they're 2-1 in their groups, and I think they can honestly pull out with the other two teams in their groups that are kind of underperforming. I think they can do well, and this team has a lot of chemistry and mostly all veterans, so I think that they can definitely make it out of groups, and that's why I have put them second in my group right here. Now, a lot of these Korean and Chinese teams and all those other teams, I don't know much about, so I can't really give much info about, but from past years, HQ has been a little bit of an underdog. I'm going to go into this a little more, but their top laner is Ziv, their jungle, Mountain, their mid lane, Chawi, their ADC, Anne, and their support, Albus, and also their sub, Westor, for mid. And so, last year, they were in Worlds, and they did exceptionally well. They did not make it out of groups, but they were kind of a team that's like, okay, they're good enough to make it to Worlds, but they're not going to shock the world. This year, I partly agree with that. They have beat EDG in their group, and it was a close game. And when I watched that game, I was really surprised when they beat that group. So, it's really hard to tell if they can get out or not. Right now, they're sitting at 1-2. So, if Westor can really perform well, their sub mid laner, who's usually out, if he can perform very well, I think HQ can definitely pull out of their groups if they can try and top C9. But honestly, it's gonna be close. Honestly, I would not count them out. I would not count them out. If they somehow make it out of groups and they're in their knockout stage, I'm going to tell all of you right now, if you're doing the pick'em, beware of that team. That team is dangerous. That team can pull a game off of you like that, and you'd be like, what just happened? But yeah, they're definite contenders. They can definitely pull through with a win. Maybe not make it out of groups, but definitely steal a game or two off of you. So like I said, they beat EDG. So EDG has actually been... I'm going to move into them gradually, but EDG was expected to top Cloud9, not easily, but expected to top them, and definitely expected to top HQ. That game against them, actually, which they lost to HQ, which was insane upset, it was like a given that the EDG was going to win. And they completely threw the game away, and that really puts them in a very tough position to pull through and make it to the knockout stage.
He's just poking at him, but it does not matter because this is their Nexus. This is their game. AHQ going to find their first win on the world stage.
And I'm scared for them. I don't know if they're going to do it because they're 3 games down. They have not won 1 game. And coming next week, when they're playing another round robin, they're literally going to have to win every single one of their games, including playing Cloud9 again, which they lost to. They lost to everyone. And then they also have to play SKT, the most insane team in League of Legends history. So, honestly, for them, I don't think they're going to make it out. But I had them in 3rd, in front of AHQ Esports Club. And I was shocked to see them lose to AHQ. But then, once I saw how Westor performed, I was like, well, that's no surprise, because he was insane in that game, and really carried that game along. I mean, obviously, their team did really, really well, but Westor was definitely a big factor in that game, and EDG just did not really perform well. And coming into this, I was like, oh, EDG with their roster, top lane Mouse, jungle Clear Love, mid lane Scout, bot lane, iBoy, and support Mako. It's just crazy that group of veterans did not beat AHQ. And now, like I said, they're in that tough position, and honestly, I don't know if they can pull through. Maybe take 3rd, maybe satisfy me and have me get more points in the pick'em and be like, hey, I got them 3rd, because I think they can end up in 3rd. They're only 1 game behind HQ, but getting out of groups is very unlikely from my perspective. So that just about wraps it up for Group A. In first place, what I have is SKT, and that is where they are now. Second place, I have Cloud9, which is they are now, so I have 2 correct so far, but remember, we still have week 2 to come in the group stage. And then in 3rd, I had EDG, which is not going so well for me right now. And then in 4th, we, of course, have HQ. But right now, HQ and EDG are switched, and we are going to have to see if EDG can pull off a few wins and possibly snag a 3rd place. Really, they're not going to... There's 0 way they're catching SKT, but maybe they can catch C9 we'll have to see in those coming games. Moving into Group B, starting with Longzhou Gaming. Longzhou Gaming actually, I think, made a little bit of a, I don't really know how to word this, maybe like a push? I don't know. They just really came out of nowhere. I think they've always been a pretty good team in their region, but I just think now they're like, hey, other teams, can you hear me now? Do you know who we are now? Like, can you see us? Can you hear us? And I think they've really just come out and everyone's just, I'm not saying everyone's shocked, but when they beat SKT in that finals match in, I think it was the summer, or it was either the summer or spring split, when they beat SKT in that, I think everyone was pretty shocked, and that made Longzhou take the first seed, which is now why the first seed from their region, and SKT second seed from their region. And so Longzhou, their top laner Khan, who really is just honestly an all-star. Seriously, that guy is really the heart of their team, and if they did not have Khan on their team would be nothing, and their team would not even be at Worlds. Because Khan, I'm not saying he's the main carry of their team, which he is most of the time, but he is an insane, critical factor in their team. And their jungle, cuz their middle BDD, and their bot lane Prey, and their support Gorilla, their whole team is a lot of veterans. A lot of these Chinese and Korean teams have a lot of veterans. I'm not saying other teams don't, but a lot of those teams have veterans. And so I put Longzhou in first. I think that's obvious. And right now, they have gone 2-0. Tomorrow they play more games, but again, depending on when this comes out. But tomorrow they play more games, and right now they're 2-0 in the group. So I put them at first, and they're in first in their group right now. And I, like SKT, I think it's pretty much a given they're getting out. I don't think there's any way Immortals, Fnatic, or Gigabyte Marines are going to catch them at all. I mean, Immortals almost beat them in the first game, and Immortals was looking pretty good, but I just don't think that Longzhou is not going to make it out. Maybe, I don't know, maybe not first, but definitely, I can guarantee you guys either first or second. So moving on to what I had as my second pick. I had Immortals also passing through, and Immortals is the second team from NA, and along with Cloud9 and TSM, we'll get to them later in Group D, but Immortals, really, I thought, coming into this, I was actually a little worried for them, because I didn't think they could swim the big fish, because last split, same team, right? And they didn't even make playoffs. They were like bottom 4 in the NALCS. And then summer split, they come into this and they almost beat TSM.
Out of this wave, the one wave where there is inhibitor disadvantage for Immortals. They can find
They find double, they don't find the kill just yet, he gets away. Survives the equalizer, here comes Redemption to buy the front line some more time. Lock and pop as well as they go. Meganar pulls in, only the takes flame. Gotta run away, 2 kills for TSM. The resets a double and finds himself the third, the fourth, the fifth, the ace for TSM. Hunter teleports to the top side and he's gonna run the minions through the base. TD Garden home to so many greats, and TSM cement themselves as the greatest team North America has ever seen. 6 championships in 10 splits. They have never missed a final. They have never missed Worlds, and they are once again your North American champions.
But they secure their second seed in that just because they had more points than Cloud9. We're not going to get into that. But anyways, so I think a lot of people coming into this, Immortals, would not do as well as Fnatic, but honestly, I have hope in NA, and since they're 1-1 and Fnatic is 0-2, I think that Immortals can definitely pull through, because Fnatic in a very bad spot right now, which I had, we're going to move into that in a sec, but which I had Fnatic in 3rd place, and they're in 4th, and they're sitting at 0-2 right now. And that is definitely a problem with that. And I think Fnatic right now, we'll just move into that. I think Fnatic right now is just thinking like, wow, now we have to play Longzhou tomorrow, depending on how that game goes, and probably going to lose. So that's going to be hard. And then we're going to have to play those 3 teams again, which we already lost to 2 of them, and maybe Longzhou. So it's going to be a hard battle trying to climb back to the top. Maybe beating Immortals. Hopefully beating Immortals. I don't know. I'm an EU fan. I like EU. We'll see how it goes, though. So yeah, Fnatic, I don't know. They could do well. They couldn't do well. They're a little bit of an iffy team sometimes. If Reckless really does really well, then maybe. But, right now they're very underperforming. Along with Immortals, they're kind of underperforming, but, I think they did pretty well. They almost beat Longzhou, and then they beat Fnatic, which was a really, really big just punch in the gut to Fnatic. And they also Fnatic lost to Gigabyte Marines, and Gigabyte Marines I feel like is an AHQ type of team. They can maybe take a game off of you, but I don't think they're going to make it out of their groups. I had Gigabyte Marines in 4th and Fnatic in 3rd. Right now, it's the same as Group A. The 3rd and 4th are just switched. But Gigabyte Marines right now are 1-1, and Fnatic is 0-2. So, Gigabyte also almost beat Longzhou along with Immortals. So, right now in the running, because Gigabyte Marines are known to pull out just completely off meta picks in world meta, I guess. And in their meta, they pull off a bunch of weird picks that just surprise the other team and sometimes catch them off guard, and that's how they can just steal a game off of them. But I don't know. Maybe Gigabyte Marines can get out of the group, possibly surpass Immortals, but I think Immortals, if it comes to it and they play Gigabyte, I think they can beat them. So, we'll see what happens. Alright, so we're going to be moving into Group C right now, and we're going to start with RNG. And I think this was a team everyone thought would pretty much get out, but I don't think anyone really thought RNG would practically end the first week of groups in first place. I think everyone thought Samsung would become first, but I'm not saying for some reason, because Royal Never Give Up definitely destroyed that first week. But starting off with their top laner, Let Me, in their jungle, MLXG, their mid, I think it's Zhao. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. Their bot lane, everyone knows him, Uzi, and their support, Ming. So, a lot of people are wondering, what's the key to their success? And that's what I'm wondering. I'm not saying they're a bad team, because they're not. They're amazing. They're one of the greatest, I think, Korean teams, Chinese teams. I don't know. I don't know what region they're from. But they're one of the best teams in their region. Besides, in their group, besides Samsung, obviously I think everyone expected Samsung to be coming first. But I think since Royal Never Give Up played their play style and played how they thought they should play, I think that's why they really came through. I don't think it's luck. I also think it's a little bit of the other teams a little bit underperformed, including G2 is underperforming a lot. Actually, they've got one win as of now, but Samsung is definitely underperforming. I didn't expect them to get stomped like that against RNG too. I know it's RNG, but they got absolutely destroyed. So we got G2, who's kind of underperforming, and then we got 1907 Fenerbahce Esports, which was a total underdog coming into this, and they're 0-2 right now, and honestly, I don't even think they're going to win a single game in their group. So we're going to flip around here, but that's why I definitely have Fenerbahce in last place, and I think everyone else had that too, unless you're a die-hard Fenerbahce fan, you put them in first. They're coming in fourth. I'm sorry to break you the news. And then I also had G2 in third, and I had Samsung in first, and Royal Never Give Up in second. And it's the same case for Group B and Group A, just first and second are switched. So, honestly, I really like Royal Never Give Up. They have had a history of bad luck in the finals and always losing and always coming so close. And poor Uzi, the ADC, has been there for so long, and he's a really, really good player. And he's just always so close, but never can grasp the taste of victory. But they always get there. They always get to Worlds. And it's just been a really rough road for them, and they've never won Worlds before, and honestly, I'd be okay if they win Worlds, because RNG, I like their team. They're a nice team, and I like their play style. I like Uzi. I'm an ADC myself, so, I have something to relate to. So, also, Samsung, again, a little underperforming, but I think it's a given that RNG and Samsung are going to make it out. Right now, Royal Never standing at 2 wins, and Samsung standing at 1-1. I think they're going to improve for next week. So I think, if anything, RNG is not going to make it out. But they're already 2-0. So I think it's going to be RNG and Samsung. So I think actually predicting the second week, I haven't done this in Group A or B, but predicting what's going to happen in the second week, I think Royal Never Grow Up is going to lose to Samsung, and I'm going to say they're going to lose to G2. And I'll explain why in a sec. And Samsung, they're going to dominate. I think they're going to win because I think they're going to beat RNG, and they're going to beat Fenerbahce, obviously. And then I don't know about G2, we'll see. But the reason why I think G2 can beat Royal Never Give Up is because Reckless on his Twitch lately has been just insane. And just all his other champs, Reckless has been on fire. Also, they have a little bit of momentum coming into this, beating their past team. And again, I don't know about tomorrow. Tomorrow could be a whole different story. Tomorrow could flip this entire group upside down, and it could just go terrible for G2, and they might not make it out. And again, I like Europe, and if NA were not to win Worlds, which they're not, but if they weren't, then I hope Europe does, and if not, RNG. But I don't know. So what I have is Samsung in first, and I think they're gonna pull through to come in first. RNG in second. Then Fenerbahce is coming in last. They're coming in last. They're not making it out. They're not gonna win a single game. And then if Fenerbahce can pull some magic witchery out on G2 and do an insane pick from their meta and play their play style, maybe they can beat G2, and maybe, I'm not saying G2 is coming last. They're not coming last. But they could win one game. Fenerbahce could win one game. There's a possibility. But Fenerbahce is not beating RNG, and they're not beating Samsung, and I can guarantee you that. If Perks could really play well and Reckless could play well, then I think they might have a shot of getting out. If Perks really perks up, I will stop now. Moving on, so moving on to Group D. We'll do a recap after this, explaining all my teams, and then we'll do the outro. Moving on, finally, to Group D, we'll start with TSM, and I'll explain why I have TSM in first and why, and some people might disagree with me, but we'll just run through their roster. In the top lane, we have Hanser, who's literally been a god lately. He landed a 5-man Gnar ultimate. It was insane.
Current number 6 to even up the score. Soon Super Minions will be streaming down the mid lane as well, but TSM, they've got a minute 30 left with Baron, and they're going to try and do as much damage as possible. Doublelift again, Casa get himself stunned. Doublelift gets himself out of the way as Casa lets the ulti rip. MMD there is a redemption. He's going to try and reset it off. Burn low, but not dead to the Taric ultimate. Burn defensively. My God, a 5-man Gnar ultimate. He's going to secure the team by win. MMD down.
5-man, I'm not saying that's a record, but I watched that game live, and I kid you not, that was probably the best play I've seen in a long time. And then in the jungle, we have Svenskeren. Svenskeren has been doing pretty well, exceptionally well. I mean, he's a little underperforming, I think. I think the pressure's getting to him a little. He could definitely play better, and their team could definitely lead to first place. They are 2-0 in their groups at the moment. I think they're going to end up in first because they beat Team WE, and a pretty simple victory, I think. Bjergsen has been doing amazing, and Doublelift and Biofrost, oh man, they're almost as good as Hanser. Like, seriously. TSM as a whole, everyone's like, it's TSM. You can't blame it on the group this time. If you don't get out, then that's your fault because you guys are bad. Because, I think TSM have a little bit of a curse too. They really can never get out of their groups, but this year they're getting out for sure. I think they're even taking first. They beat Team WE, And Doublelift actually said, he was like, I'm not like really scared of Team W because we're going to play our play style, they can play theirs, and coming into this, I think we have momentum, in Doublelift's words. So yeah, I agree with them. I think they definitely have momentum. I think since they beat Team WE, they can do it again, and I think it's pretty much a free win against Misfits and possibly Flash Wolves. It was a pretty close game in the first game of that. But, you know, TSM probably going to come out on first. I put them to come out on first, not just because I'm an NA fan, but also, just Team WE, they had been placed into the play-in stage, and they had to come in from the play-in stage. And just the play-in stage, I don't want to go too far back, but they just were just not good in the play-in stage. They did go 4-0, but they just weren't good. They were slow in the beginning, slow in the late game. They somehow pulled out a win because they're Team WE. They're going to make it out. And they're going to make it out in Group D, too, because they're better than Flash Wolves and Misfits. Definitely. They're better than those two teams. But not better than TSM, I don't think. I think they're just in a little bit of a slump. If they can actually just bring this back and focus and play well, I think they can come in first. But really, it's just they need to perform well. Shie has been performing very, very well. Shie is amazing. But I don't know. I honestly don't know what is the cause of their slump. I really don't know. 957 is okay. I mean, like, no, not okay as, like, he's an okay player. He's a great player. But I'm just saying I feel like he is a little underperforming. I don't know. Some people might disagree with me. And honestly, no hate, guys. No hate. Like, it's not even a topic of no hate. I'm just saying, these are my opinions. So 957, I think, is a little underperforming. Condi, no, he's not underperforming. I think Condi's doing great. The son of Baron. So many Baron steals. What is this? His Lee Sin and his Ezreal has just been insane lately. GA has been awesome. Mystic, Doublelift said in the matchup against Mystic that he wasn't that worried about Mystic, and he thought that Mystic was getting a little too much, like, I guess, praise. And I kind of agree with him, because Mystic is a pretty good player, but I don't think he's good enough to just, all the praise he's getting and all the hype is just, he's not living up to the hype. And then the support Ben, he's just like, you know, he'll make some plays. He's not like Ole on Immortals, who's the roam god. He won't just help his team out in every way possible. You know, he's a support. He's there. And then there's Sub-Zero, who I think is also a support. Or maybe it's their ADC. I don't know. All I know is Zero is exceptionally good too. So, if they put Zero in, if they can just switch their lineup up and just try some different things and just really try different things but play their meta, they can possibly come out in front of TSM. But going into Flash Wolves, they almost stole a game off of TSM. They're 0-2 right now, and if I'm being completely honest, I'm surprised. I can't believe they lost to Misfits, because I'm not saying, because a lot of people are probably Europe fans, I'm sorry, but Misfits should not make it out. They shouldn't even come in third. They don't deserve, okay, I worded that wrong. I'm not saying they don't deserve it. They did deserve it in that one game versus Flash Wolves, but Flash Wolves threw so hard in that game. Flash Wolves should have taken that game. They should have taken that game. And I feel like once Power of Evil and their team realized that, they were just like, oh, time to snowball. It's time to snowball, boys. And so, yeah, I'm not just saying that Power of Evil is the one mid laner on their team that can carry, because their whole team is like decent, but I don't think they're not making it out of groups. They're not beating Team WE. They're not. I'm just saying, Flash Wolves with MMD, Karsa, Maple, Betty, and Sword Art. Sword Art is a god. He is insane. I don't think he received MVP. He might have gotten MVP of the split, but he is probably the best support in his region, I would say. Betty, pretty good ADC. Mid Maple. Sometimes he can be good, but they're actually playing Flash Wolves. They're actually playing Team WE and against Shie. And I think Team WE, I think if they're going to win, because they're Team WE, but also Shie versus Maple, Shie is just a better player. He's just a better player. And then Karsa in the jungle is going to be pretty good. And then MMD in top is, solid. If he can pick the Cho'Gath, and he can just snowball pretty hard on that, and then he can just be unstoppable in the entire game, then maybe they can beat Team WE. I can definitely see a world where Flash Wolves makes it out. I can definitely see a world where they beat Team WE. So I can see a world where they make it out. But they're in a tough spot right now. They're sitting at 0-2, and Team WE is 1-1. And for the first week wrapping up, it's hard to go 0-3. If they lose to Team WE in this next matchup, it'll be tough for them to lose. It really will. And then if they end up 0-3 at the first week, that'll be a big punch in the gut to them. But Misfits, I think what I put them in fourth, they definitely surprised me for beating Flash Wolves. I put Flash Wolves at third, Team WE in second, and TSM in first. I explained why TSM would be in first and Team WE would be in second. But, I don't know. Maybe Misfits will come in third. I don't think Misfits is moving on. I almost definitely think they're not moving on. But if they played how they played in the game against Flash Wolves, maybe they will. Maybe they legitimately will. Okay, so we're just going to wrap things up by saying what I have and my predictions for what's going to happen there. We're definitely going to do a knockout stage of this, and that'll be smaller because there will be only 8 teams, but I'll do more in depth of all those players, and I'll say the history of the players probably because it won't be as long, because I was thinking of doing that for this video, but then I was like, there's 16 teams. There's no way I'm going to get to do that. So I just did a little summary of each team. But yeah, so in Group A, I have SKT, T1, and then Cloud9 in second, which is going along pretty well. And then Edward Gaming and HQ, but those two are switched. HQ, if Westdoor performs very well, they could probably top Cloud9. I don't know. They're like a Gigabyte Marines team. They could probably just take one win off. I don't think Edward Gaming is going to come in third. I think they're definitely not coming 0-6. They're not going to do that. But I don't believe that they're going to come in third. So we'll see how that happens. But yeah, moving on to Group B. Longzhu Gaming in first. Immortals in second. That's right so far. Fnatic in third. Gigabyte Marines in fourth. Those two are switched as in Group A. Group C, I have Samsung, RNG, G2, and 1907 Fenerbahce. And Fenerbahce and G2 are in the correct spots. Fenerbahce, not going to win the game. Sorry, fans of Fenerbahce. G2, again, if they play their play style and they play well and they don't get tilted, they can win. RNG, RNG and Samsung, that's a really, really, really important matchup in the second week. That will determine who's going to come in first and second. Honestly, I think it's more of that battle, I think it's more of a bragging right. It's like, obviously it's for seeding too in the knockout stage. More of a you can say, hey, we beat Samsung, or hey, we beat RNG, like we are superior. But yeah, we'll see how that goes. I'm excited to see that matchup in week 2. So Group D, TSM in first, Team WE in second, Flash Wolves in third, and Misfits in fourth. And then, as in Group A and B, 3 and 4 are switched. Yesterday, the final games of the first week of the group stage concluded. The first game of the day was Misfits versus TSM. TSM was an obvious favorite in the game, but Misfits surprised everyone by coming out with 4 strong kills.
I'm on my way, we can dive. Maybe you need to wait for me. I got him. Kill him. Kill them all. Kill them all. Kill him. Okay. Good job. Well played.
It really snowballed from there. TSM was making a convincing comeback until one crucial decision they had to make. They had 2 insane minion waves in the top and bot lanes while they were at Baron. They either had to finish Baron or send someone back to defend. As Baron was slowly chunking everyone down, TSM started to back away from Baron. Except Maxlor, the jungler from Misfits, flanked aside and landed an amazing cask to set up a great play. After killing everyone on their team but Biofrost, the support for TSM, Misfits ran down mid and made a huge upset by beating TSM. The second game of the day was Immortals vs Gigabyte Marines. Immortals was the favorite in this matchup and was expected to win, unless the Marines pulled off some crazy off-meta pick to not only stun the crowd, but also this Immortals squad. That is exactly what they did. They pulled out the cane to hopefully counter Xmithy's Gragas. However, that did not go so well. After Immortals got so many kills with an insanely fed Cody Sun, their ADC, there was no possible way for Gigabyte to win teamfights.
The Gigabyte Marines, and they will be able to get themselves the extra win and finish 2-1 at the end of week 1 of groups.
The Marines would end the week at 1-2, their only win stealing off of Fnatic and slightly keeping their hopes alive of making it out of the groups. Immortals would win to become 2-1 in the group, second to Longzhu Gaming, with only them in their way of becoming first in Group B. The next game of the day was Fnatic vs Longzhu Gaming. Longzhu pulled the Nasus for Khan. There was only 5 kills in the entire game. Khan was playing safe the entire game and only farming until Longzhu finally got a first blood in 19 minutes.
God, the siphoning strike reduced cooldown as well. Retreating, Nasus finding the first kill, the latest first blood thus far. Bray taking...
It only went downhill from there. Fnatic crumbled and we got to see a Rift Herald dance to winning the game.
Farming it up and bringing it home.
And we get to see a dancing Rift Herald in professional play.
Fnatic will stay stuck in dead last of their group, 0-3, and Longzhu will stay well above water at a whopping undefeated 3-0. The next game of the day, which was a very important one and would decide the group's fate after this game, was Royal Never Give Up versus G2. This game was not even close, to be honest. Royal Never Give Up came out strong out of the gates and absolutely destroyed G2 in laning phase as well in late game. Uzi on Twitch snagged a quadra kill to end the game.
G2 expect finally to knock Uzi to the wall, but it does not matter. Parks get out for free, but it's G2 who pay the price.
It's not a penta, but it feels like one the crowd knows.
RNG reminding people exactly what they can do and cleaning up their week.
The snowball was too great for G2 to handle, and they end up 1-2 at the end of week 1 of the groups, and RNG standing at the top as 3-0 just above Samsung Galaxy. The second to last game was Fenerbahce versus Samsung Galaxy. Fenerbahce was a huge underdog coming into this competition, and no one thought Fenerbahce would even come close to beating Samsung. Fenerbahce was snowballing pretty hard at the beginning of the game, and getting ahead to what was once 8-4 in kills. At one point, they had a 6k gold lead, with Frozen on Echo being 3-0-3. However, Fenerbahce's hopes quickly disintegrated at a very important fight at Baron. Frozen was flanking from the side and quickly got focused and shut down. With their carry down, Fenerbahce could not do anything. Each member of their team fell as they watched Samsung push down mid lane and end the game. That shows you how one crack under pressure, one team fight, and one single bad decision can lead to disaster. Fenerbahce will stay at the bottom of the pack at 0-3 and have their dreams of making it out to the knockout stage become a fantasy. Samsung, however, would end their first week as 2-1, second to RNG. Finally, the last game in week 1 of the group stage was Flash Wolves versus Team WE. This matchup was expected to be close, and it sure was. It was neck and neck the entire game, with each team trading kills every team fight. Once Flash Wolves gained a small lead, they waited too long to find the right team fight to try and end the game. Waiting too long to pull the trigger and imitate a fight, Team WE took advantage of that and caught Flash Wolves out of position. Ending with an ace, Team WE would make a 3-way tie in their group with TSM and Misfits, leaving Flash Wolves at the bottom of the group. Here are the standings for the conclusion of Week 1. Week 2 kicks off October 12th. Don't miss it. Yeah, so that'll just about wrap it up here. On behalf of me, I thank you guys for watching this pick'em, and I'll see you guys next time in another episode of the Duff Podcast. But yeah, so comment down below. Before we leave, comment down below any suggestions you guys have for the next podcast, because it won't really be much of this unless it is. If you guys have ideas, I'll try and do a podcast by then, but, you know, we'll see what happens, and then I'll do a knockout stage, and once we do the knockout stage. When I do the knockout stage, it'll be better because I can actually show you guys me picking as I talk. So it'll be a little more in depth and stuff. But yeah, so thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys in another episode of the Duff Podcast. And you guys have a good night or day or whenever time zone you're watching in. But goodbye, guys. Thanks for watching. See ya.